What is up, YouTube? It's Marshmallow, and I've got a grand idea, a spectacular idea for tonight's festivities. In fact, for tonight, we have a very interesting event planned. We have an actual story time, and what I mean by that is that we're gonna actually read a real story written by a fucking author. Yes, and glowing in my hand, right here, is the most fantastic book that's ever existed. It's the complete collection of my Lovecraft. Yeah, that's what we're gonna read. But before we start, we're going to go over a few updates. Now, I realize I'm a day behind. Midterms are coming up. I don't know if you give a fuck about that, but I do. So I have to worry about that. That's a big thing. And what else? I'm also working on my costume. Hey, ho, guess what? I was going to say, hey, ho, let's go, but I didn't say that. Anyways, I'm also working on my costume, which is a Michael Hussar inspired costume, which last year I did the nun. This year, even though the nun came out this year and I did it last year, I'm doing surprise. You guys will have to stay tuned and guess. Guess, or stay tuned and guess, or whatever you please. Anywho, so there's that. I'm probably going to be a day behind. If I decide to record 2 stories tonight, I might catch up. I don't know. Depends how well this one goes. I'm kind of semi-illiterate. So what I'm thinking of doing is reading a very short one just to start off, and then moving on to a longer one and making that one a 2-parter. That's what I'm probably thinking of doing, just so you are aware. We're gonna start with the beast in the cave. Right? Yeah. I'm going to something in the dark, so it's going to be a little tricky reading, but I feel like it would create an ominous effect. Not to mention, I always like reading stories or hearing spooky stories when I was a kid, So I thought that would be super cool. I have a glass of Rosé with me, so stay tuned. If you're underage, don't drink. Anyways, I don't know why I have to say that. A lot of moms are like, "You're kinky, you can't move my kid's gonna copy you." Who the fuck's not watching them? Really? Anyways, I'm trying my best, my very best to entertain you guys and read in the dark. My eyes will have to adjust. I will try to hold the book up like so without blocking the ominous green light that you guys can't see. So, away we go. I might stop in between and make commentary. I'm not quite sure yet. So, yeah. So, if you haven't already... Oh my god, I'm gonna hiccup or burp. I don't know yet. If you haven't already, you might want to actually get some popcorn, get some snacks, get a blanket or your favorite waffle. And, get ready for a spooky story. Anyways, let me adjust this so I can actually read it. So, yeah, that's super important, huh? Wish I had another. Wait, hey, that's something I should invest in. Another light. Anywho, let's fucking do this. Are you ready? You ready? You ready? Alright. The horrible conclusion, which had been gradually obtruding itself upon my confused and reluctant mind, was now an awful certainty. I was lost, completely, hopelessly lost in the vast and labyrinth in the labyrinth recesses of the mammoth cave. Turn as I might, in no direction could my straining vision seize on any object capable of serving as a guide point to set me on the outward path. If you can't fucking see, don't fucking go. Like, I'm like, really? Like just, what? Anywho, that never more should I behold the blessed light of day, and scan the pleasant hills and dales of the beautiful world outside. My reason could no longer entertain the slightest unbelief. Hope had departed. Yet, indoctrinated as I was by the life of the philosophical study, God, I should really invest in a flashlight. For like that campfire effect. Okay. I derive no small measure of satisfaction from my unimpassioned demeanor. For although I had frequently read of the wild frenzies into which were thrown the victims of similar situations, I experienced none of these, but stood quiet as soon as I clearly realized the loss of my bearings. Well, yeah, anybody who's lost is pretty fucking scared. I mean, considering this is the beast in the cave, he's pretty much lost in a cave. So I'm pretty sure. I mean, yeah. Anyways, so far so good. Sorry if I sound semi-illiterate. I clarified that in the beginning of the video. And Rosé. Let's continue. Nor did the thought that I had probably wandered beyond the utmost limits of an ordinary search cause me to abandon my composure even for a moment. If I must die, I reflected then, was this terrible yet majestic cavern as welcome a Come on, like... Sepulture? Yeah. I don't know. Whatever. As that which any churchyard might afford. A conception which carried with it more tranquility than a despair. I guess that's like what stage of grief is that? Starving would prove my utmost fate. Of this I was certain. Yeah, this is like acceptance. He skipped like all the steps and was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna die. Some, I knew, had gone mad under circumstances such as these. But I felt that this end would not be mine. My disaster was the result of no fault save my own. Since, unbeknown to the guide, I had separated myself from the regular party of the sightseers, and, wandering for over an hour in forbidden avenues of the cave, and found myself unable to retrace the devious windings which I had pursued since forsaking my companions. Let me tell you something, a lot of people can't fucking, admit that they have messed up, and this guy's pretty, he sounded like kind of like an ass from the beginning, but I like this guy. He's like, I'm a dumbass, and this is my fault, so fuck it, the worst thing that's gonna happen, I'm gonna starve to death. Anywho. Already my torch had begun to expire. Soon I would be enveloped by the total and almost palpable darkness and the bowels of the earth. Of the bowels of the earth. Of the bowels of the earth. There we go. As I stood in, there you go, light. The waning, unsteady light, I idly wandered over the exact circumstances of my coming end. I remembered the accounts which I had heard of the colony of consultives? What? Who? Taking their residence in this gigantic grotto to find health from the apparently salubrious air, of the underground world, with its steady, uniform temperature, pure air, and peaceful quiet, have found instead death in strange and ghastly form. Sucks to suck. I had seen the sad remains of their ill-made cottages as I passed by them with the party, and had wondered what unnatural influence a long sojourn in the immense. Yeah, I'm reading right. Sorry, guys, I can't really see. This is like really bad lighting. I'm sorry about this. I should probably invest in one of those lights. Sojourn in this immense and silent cavern would exert upon one as healthy and vigorous as I. Now I grimly told myself my opportunity for settling this point had arrived, provided that want of food should not bring me too steady a departure from this life. I gotta break it to you guys. It takes like a week to starve, right? No, it takes a week to die from dehydration. It takes 2 weeks to starve to death. Good luck. Slow and painful. As the last fitful rays of my torch faded into obscurity, I resolved to leaving no stone unturned, no possible means of escape neglected, so summoning all the powers possessed by my lungs, I set up a series of loud shoutings in the vain hope of attracting the attention of the guide by my clamor. Yet as I called, I believed in my heart that my cries were to no purpose, and that my voice, magnified and reflected by the numberless ramparts of the black maze about me, fell upon no ears save my own. All at once, however, my attention was fixed with a start as I fancied that I heard the sound of soft approaching steps on the rocky floor of the cavern. Was my deliverance about to be accomplished so soon? Had then all my horrible apprehensions been for naught, and was the guide, having marked my unwarranted absence from the party, following my course and seeking me out in this limestone labyrinth? Whilst these joyful questions arose in my brain, I was on the point of renewing my cries in order that my discovery might come the sooner, when in an instant my delight was turned to horror as I listened. Why? For my ever acute ear, now sharpened in even greater degree by the complete silence of the cave, bore to my benumbed understanding the unexpected and dreadful knowledge that these footsteps were not those of any mortal man. What does that mean? What does that mean? What do you mean, no mortal man? What? In the unearthly stillness of this subterranean region, the tread of the booted guide would have sounded like a series of sharp and incisive blows. These impacts were soft and stealthy, as of the padded paws of some feline. Besides, at times, when I listened carefully, I seemed to trace the falls of 4 instead of 2 feet. I was now convinced that I had my cry I was now convinced that I had my cries aroused and attracted some wild beast, perhaps a mountain lion. It's probably not a mountain lion, just to break it to you, guy. Mountain lion, which had accidentally strayed within the cave. Perhaps I considered the Almighty had chosen for me a swifter and more merciful death than that of hunger. Yet the instinct of self-preservation, never wholly dormant, was stirred in my breast. Okay, you don't. It's not making it funny. Anyways. And though escape from the oncoming peril might but spare me for the sterner and more lingering end, I determined nevertheless to part with my life at as high a price as I command. Strange as it may seem, my mind conceived of no intent on the part of the visitor save that of hostility. Accordingly, I became very quiet, in the hope that the unknown beast would, in the absence of a guiding sound, lose its direction as had I, and thus pass me by. But this hope was not destined for realization, for the strange footfalls steadily advanced, the animal steadily behaving obtained by my scent, which in an atmosphere so absolutely free from all distracting influences as is that of the cave, could doubtless be followed a great distance. Seeing therefore that I must be armed for defense against an uncanny and unseen attack in the dark, good luck, I grouped about myself the largest of the fragments of rock which were thrown upon all parts of the floor of the cavern in the vicinity, and, grasping one in each hand for immediate use, awaited with resignation. Yeah, this is so embarrassing. I can't believe I'm holding it up the side. Resignation, the inevitable result. Meanwhile, the hideous pattering of the paws drew near. Certainly, the conduct of the creature was exceedingly strange. Most of the time, the tread seemed to be that of a quadruped, walking with a singular lack of unison betwixt hind and fore feet. Yet, at brief and infrequent intervals, I fancied that but 2 feet were engaged in the process of locomotion. Oh, what the fuck? That means it's like, and oh my god, what the fuck is it? I already know what it is, but you guys don't know what it is. Anyhow, where was I? Oh god, okay. I wondered what species of animal was to confront me. It must, I thought, be some unfortunate beast who had paid for its curiosity to investigate one of the entrances of the fearful grotto, with a lifelong confinement in its interminable recesses. In doubtless obtained as food the eyeless fish, bats, and rats of the cave, and as well as some of the ordinary fish that are wafted in at every fish net of Green River, which communicates in some occult manner with the waters of the cave. I copied my terrible vigil but grotesque conjectures of what altercations alterations cave life might have wrought in the physical structure of the beast. Remembering the awful appearances inscribed by local tradition to the consumptives who had died after long residence in the cave. Then I remembered with a start that even should I succeed in killing my antagonist, I should never behold its form, as my torch had long since been extinct and was entirely unprovided with matches. The tension on my brain now became frightful. My disordered fancy conjured up hideous and fearsome shapes from the sinister darkness that surrounded me, and that actually seemed to press upon my body. Nearer and nearer, the dreadful footsteps approached. It seemed that I must give vent to a piercing scream, yet had I sufficiently irresolute to attempt such a thing, my voice could scarce have responded. I was petrified, rooted to the spot. I doubted if my right arm would allow me to hurl its missile at the oncoming thing when the crucial moment should arrive. Now the steady pat of the steps was close at hand. Excuse me. Rosé. Either he's gonna get fucked up, or that thing's gonna get fucked up. But someone ain't leaving okay. I'll tell you that. No. Very close. I could hear the labored breathing of the animal, and terror struck as I realized that it must have come from a considerable distance, and I was correspondingly fatigued. Suddenly, the spell broke. My right hand, guided by my ever trustworthy sense of hearing, threw with full force the sharp angled bit of limestone which it contained toward that point in the darkness from which emanated the breathing and pattering and wonderful to relate. It nearly reached its goal, for I heard the thing jump, landing at a distance away where it seemed to pause. Having readjusted my aim, I discharged my second missile, this time most effectively, for with a flood of joy I listened as the creature fell in what sounded like a complete collapse. That was the shortest fight I've ever heard of. Can you believe that nonsense? You miss once and then you're like, whoops. Like, really? Like, that's so fucking stupid. And I realize I'm falling out of frame and I'm apologizing for this. This is my first time reading on camera in the dark while sipping wine, so please bear with me. I hope you're at least enjoying it yourself and making fun of me. Or making fun of yourselves, I don't know. I fell to the fucking ground. I listened and enjoyed as it sounded like a complete collapse, and I inevitably remained prone and unmoving, almost overpowered by the great relief which rushed over me. I reeled back against the wall. The breathing continued, and heavy, gasping, and here we go. Inhalations and exasperations. Once I realized that I had no more than wounded the creature, and now all desire to examine the thing ceased. At last, something allied to the groundless superstitious fear had entered my brain, and it did not approach the body, nor did I continue to cast stones at it in order to complete the extinction of its life. Instead, I ran at full speed in what was as nearly as I could examine in my frenzied condition, condition, the direction from which I had come. Suddenly I heard a sound, or rather a regular succession of sound. In another instant, they had resolved themselves into a series of sharp metallic clicks. This time, there was no doubt. It was the guide. And then I shouted, yelled, screamed, even shrieked with joy as I beheld in the vaulted arches above the faint and glimmering efflorescence, whatever, I can't read, which I knew to be the reflected light of an approaching torch. I ran to meet the flare, and before I could completely understand what had occurred, was lying upon the ground at the feet of the guide, embraced his boots, and gibbering, despite my boasted reserve, in the most meaningless and idiotic manner, pouring out my terrible story, and at the same time overwhelming my auditor with protestations of gratitude. At length I woke to something like my normal consciousness. The guide where am I? The guide had noted my absence upon the arrival of the party at the entrance of the cave. Wow, they literally gave the whole freaking tour, and they were like, oh yeah, Bob's missing. That really, sucks. Oh, hope I am somewhat good at this, you guys. Because I know that, it's painful to listen to me read. It's okay. Okay. Entrance of the cave. And had from his own intuitive sense of direction proceeded to make a thorough canvass of the by passages just ahead of where before he had spoken last to me, locating my whereabouts after a quest of about 4 hours. I don't know anybody that would look for 4 hours for me, but okay. By the time he had related this to me, I am emboldened by his torch and his company, began to reflect upon the strange beast, which I had wounded but a short distance back in the darkness, and suggested that we ascertain by the rushlight's aid what manner of creature was my victim. Oh, no, it's the victim, okay. Accordingly, I retraced my steps this time with a courage born of companionship to the scene of my... It should be easier now that it's on this page and the light's a little bit higher, Terrible experience. Soon we descried a white object upon the floor, an object whiter even than the gleaming limestone itself. Cautiously advancing, we gave vent to a simultaneously ejaculation of wonderment. What? I'm not wine reading this or illiterately reading this. It literally says ejaculation of wonderment. For of all the unnatural monsters either of us had in our lifetimes beheld, this was the surpassing degree the strangest. It appeared to be an anthropoid ape, right? Yeah, that's what it says there. Of large proportions, escaped perhaps from some itinerant menagerie. Its hair was snow white, a thing due, no doubt, to the bleaching action of a long existence within the inky confines of the cave. But it was also surprisingly thin, being indeed largely absent, save on the head, where it was of such length and abundance that it fell over the shoulders in considerable profusion. The face was turned away from us, as the creature lay almost directly upon it. The inclination of the limbs was very singular, explaining, however, the alternation in their use, which I had therefore noted, whereby the beast used sometimes all four, and on other occasions but two for its progress. It had long limbs. From the tips of the fingers or toes, long nail-like claws extended. The hands or feet were not prehensile, a fact that I ascribed to the long residence in the cave, which, as I before mentioned, seemed evident from the all-pervading and almost unearthly witness, so characteristic of the whole anatomy. No tails seemed to be present. The respiration had now grown very feeble, and the guide had drawn his pistol with the evident intent of dispatching the creature, when a sudden sound emitted by the latter caused the weapon to fall unused. The sound was of a nature difficult to describe. It was not like the normal note of any known species of simian, and I wondered if this natural quality were not the result of a long continued and complete silence, broken by the sensations produced by the advent of the light, a thing which the beast could not have seen since its first entrance into the cave. The sound, which I might feebly attempt to classify as a kind of deep-toned chattering, was faintly continued. All at once a feeding spasm of energy seemed to pass through the frame of the beast. The paws went through a convulsive motion, and the limbs contracted. With a jerk, the white body rolled over so that its face was turned in our direction. For a moment, I was so struck with horror at the eyes thus revealed that I noted nothing else. They were black, those eyes, deep, jetty black, in hideous contrast to the snow-white hair and flesh. Like those of other cave Desdian, they were deeply sunken in their orbit, and were entirely destitute of iris. Destitute of iris. It means it said like the whole thing was just black. As I looked more closely, I saw that they were set in a face less prognathious than that of the average ape, and infinitely more hairy. The nose was quite distinct, As we gazed upon the uncanny sight presented in our vision, the thick lips opened and several sounds issued from them, after which the thing relaxed in death. The guide clutched my coat sleeve and trembled so violently that the light shook fitfully, casting weird, moving shadows on the walls about us. I made no motion, but stood rigidly still, my horrified eyes fixed upon the floor ahead. Then fear left and wandered in wonder, awe, compassion, and reverence succeeded in its place. For the sounds uttered by the stricken figure that lay stretched out on the limestone had told us the awesome truth. The creature I had killed, the strange beast of unfathomed Kate, was, or had one time, been a man. What the fuck do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? So, like, it was this albino ape thing with long thing, like, arms, and then just, like, it walked, like, whatever. And then, like, it just lived in the cave, and its eyes are just so black and, like, so absolutely, and it was a man, it spoke. That's crazy. Whoa. Anyways, that's all the time I have. This video was really long. I butchered a lot of it because most of it was because I could barely receive. It really was the light, guys. I'm not that illiterate. Anyways, stay tuned. Again, I'm gonna be a day behind so far because I didn't expect this video to be so long. Again, Rosé. But no, seriously, I didn't expect this video to be so long. I had class today. It was super tiring. I have midterms next week. Wish me luck. And I hope to bring you more spooky stuff. See ya.